Hi everyone, thank you for dropping in on TNT on a Thursday. Now yesterday I headed up to Phang Nga, which is just north of Phuket. Just to put things into perspective, I just took this video on the way back. Now a lot of you sort of think that Phuket is an island. Well, it sort of is, and then again it isn't, because it's joined by a very, very short bridge, only 300 meters long, and if they weren't dredging the actual area between Phuket and the mainland, it would probably silt up. Well, it does from time to time. So Phuket is only just an island and joined there by the Saracen Bridge, which is a nice drive across with some beautiful views either side as you spend that, 60 seconds crossing over the bridge. So there you go. That is the Saracen Bridge joining the mainland of Thailand to the island, just an island, of Phuket. Welcome to TNT. So a lot to get through today, but we will be concentrating on some of the coverage yesterday of the return, or the expected return, of Chinese tourists and travellers to Thailand and the rest of the world next year. Now, there's quite a lot of speculation and comment in the media from various sides, and we'll cover that. Also, in the comments section yesterday, a lot of you were expressing your concerns and speculating things that could go wrong. So let's get to this, but before we sort of get to that story, just a few other matters which we will cover. Certainly this is the latest from the search for missing crew, the HTMS Sukhothai. 3 more bodies, possibly from the Sukhothai, recovered on Wednesday. So it's believed to be those of the missing what's meant to be HTMS Sukhothai crew, recovered from the sea, according to the Navy. They say the number of bodies found has increased to 24, 20 of them in the process of being identified. The number of crew still missing has dropped to 5. So we're still missing 5 crew from the HTMS Sukhothai. We're now some 11 days after that particular disaster. And this is an interesting comment from the father of one of the petty officers, who said he'd like to hear the word sorry from a Navy officer or officers over the ship's loss. He said that for the past several days, the commander of the 1st Naval Area Command had been the only Navy officer who's been updating the search operations, and this father said, "The person who knows the most about what happened is the ship's captain. I would like to hear from him, even though I've already forgiven him." So the comments there from a father. That story from Thai PBS World. And now for this main story, it's covered in a lot of media. The expected return of Chinese tourists probably going to start sometime in the first quarter next year. It'll depend on a lot of factors, including, of course, the Chinese travellers wanting to get out of China and travel, which they probably will, but not necessarily in the numbers that we had back in 2019. So this story from the Bangkok Post: the government girds for China visit influx. And let's go through the story. The Transport Minister and the Tourism and Sports Minister were invited to attend a January 5th meeting with the Public Health Ministry. And this line at the bottom, they express confidence that the Ministry of Public Health will be able to manage the COVID situation. So they're already talking about the problems in China at the moment with an outbreak of COVID-19 and how that's going to impact the situation here in Thailand. Airlines are expected to file requests with the airports of Thailand before New Year, and they're expecting to resume flights from Bangkok, Chiang Mai and Phuket, and charter flights also for the Chinese New Year, which I think is I think that's on January the 22nd next year. And they've instructed airports to increase the ground handling capacity to prevent unnecessary delays or inconvenience. Well, they should be doing that for the current tourists as well, because we know that there are delays in getting your baggage, there are delays in checking in, there are delays in getting people on and off aircraft. The flights are absolutely packed to the gunnels at the moment. I couldn't even get a flight from Phuket to Bangkok last week. I was looking at 2 different days, couldn't actually get a flight. So we do have a capacity problem at the moment. Now, throughout next year, the number of Chinese travellers using AOT-operated airports, I think there's 7 of them here in Thailand, is expected to be around 7 to 10 million, compared with the pre-COVID number of 20.5 million. So yesterday it was the TAT saying it was 5 million extra Chinese tourists coming to Thailand next year. They're just pulling these numbers randomly out of their arse. They've got no idea. They know about as much as you about the possibility of Chinese travellers coming back to Thailand. I suppose the media wants some numbers, they want something to publish, so they're just literally giving them completely random numbers. But now we get into this aspect, and the Deputy Director of the Government Pharmaceutical Organisation says they've developed their own version of the antiviral drug molnupiravir to treat COVID-19. And she said the GPO's begun manufacturing the drug, which should boost the country's supply. Well, the GPO doesn't manufacture drugs, it approves drugs. It might even contract companies to make drugs, but it certainly doesn't make drugs itself. And then this paragraph, the Prime Minister has welcomed a move by airlines to slash airfares by 20% from January. Well, every year, if you look back historically over 20 or 30 years, you will note that from the start of the year, the airfares come down after the Christmas and New Year busy period, where the prices can increase up to 2-3 times the normal fares. So the fares were going to be coming down anyway, and they should be coming down a lot more than just 20%. And then to this story, also from the Bangkok Post, a call for tourist booster shots as the Chinese return. So what's this about? So the Tourism and Sports Ministry hopes to offer COVID-19 booster shots to tourists and Thai tourism workers in preparation for the return of Chinese travellers. The Tourism and Sports Minister said this would be a worthwhile investment, as vaccine prices are now lower at around a few hundred baht per shot. Well, what do we actually know about this? We know that the current crop of vaccines are less effective with some of these latest Omicron variants. We also know that a lot of these Omicron variants are less deadly, less likely to put you in hospital than some of the variants in the past. This seems a really strange move. What is their thinking behind it? Let's see if we can find out. He says it will create a good image for Thailand as we're ranked among the top nations for healthcare security. Well, will it? I mean, if you arrive at the airport and they're standing there in a full hazard suit with a syringe saying, "Would you like a shot?" I'm not sure if that gives the right impression. Probably the opposite. The Tourism and Sports Ministry will also ask the Public Health Ministry to prepare booster shots for employees in the tourism sector before the first Chinese traveller arrives. So there's obviously an acknowledgement there that there is going to be a potential problem. With an outbreak of COVID-19 in China, with Chinese travellers starting to travel from the country, we should also note that the very first person detected outside of China with COVID-19 was in fact in Thailand. Lesson learned? Well, maybe not. But obviously they're acknowledging that this could be a problem. So rather than trying to find a way of preventing the problem, they're going to try and find ways of putting a band-aid over the problem instead. Which brings us to this coverage from the Thai Inquirer, and Thailand should look to impose restrictions on tourists arriving from China, and this demand coming from the opposition Per Thai party. And a spokesperson from Per Thai saying that given the current situation in China, this is the COVID-19 outbreak, Thailand should cautiously prepare for the influx of Chinese tourists. We should have some guards up. The tests should be administered to find out what kind of variants are coming in from China, to find out if they're more severe than the variants that have been found in Thailand. Well, I think that's a perfectly reasonable request. The latest COVID outbreak in China saw more than 20% of its 1.4 billion population infected with the virus. The World Health Organization warned that such an outbreak could possibly lead to new strains. So the Thai Inquirer doesn't give any source for that random number of 20%. Sounds like the sort of number the TAT had come up with. So I'd really actually like to know. I've been reading up about this, trying to find out, and clearly the Chinese are trying to, if not overtly distort the numbers. They're certainly trying to hide the numbers of the current cases of COVID-19 in China. So I think it would be incumbent upon Thai officials to try and get a more exact focus on exactly what the situation is in China, so that they can cope with any Chinese travellers that are travelling outside of China to Thailand, or if they need to introduce some sort of restrictions. The article notes that countries such as Japan, India and the United States are thinking of imposing restrictions such as having a negative COVID-19 test before a Chinese tourist could enter their country. Well, that sort of makes sense. And down the bottom there, the US is contemplating similar steps to Japan and Malaysia already imposed new tracking and surveillance measures. Spokesman says that Thailand should cautiously impose similar measures and closely monitor the outbreak's situation in China in order to inform the Thai public about the ongoing situation. That just seems to make perfect sense to me. He said imposing such measures would allow travellers from other countries to feel safer from COVID when travelling in Thailand. And we certainly don't want to see a situation where we've got one lot of travellers avoiding other travellers. We certainly don't want to see the government starting to reimpose things like having to wear masks, socially distance, closing things, changing opening and closing times. So these are all things that I think the government needs to look very closely at before welcoming any particular nation back to Thailand at this time. You're watching TNT on a Thursday around Thailand. Thank you for joining us. And we go to our next story. We're talking New Year celebrations, and the nation says the Interior Ministry has issued urgent orders for New Year celebrations. I was going, here we go. But no, it's not too bad. The Interior Ministry has issued 5 rules for New Year celebrations in an urgent order sent to provincial governors. It was looking pretty ominous. Let's go see what they are. And it says, number 1, entertainment venues must close at specified hours and keep underage people, weapons, good idea, drugs and other illegal items out of their premises. Number 2, local authorities must conduct safety and legal checks. A lot of these things, of course, they already do randomly. Number 3, organisers must deploy measures to prevent overcrowding. That's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to what happened in Seoul a few months ago. Public Health Ministry, this is number 4, COVID-19 controls must be implemented in public spaces. I'm concerned about that one, and if there's going to be some sort of overreaction with what's happening in China at the moment. And number 5, local authorities and police must conduct regular patrols. So all that seems pretty good. Perhaps I was worried about nothing as I was reading that. Things are a bit out of order today, so just flicking through to our next story. This also from The Nation, and the story says that air purifiers, high-waist jeans and kitty beds are among Alibaba's trending products for next year. Thought this might be a little bit of fun. I'm not sure how much shopping you do online. In Thailand, we've got Alibaba, we've got Shopee, and we've got Lazada. They're the main ones. I seem to use Lazada almost exclusively, and I do tend to buy maybe 1 or 2 things a week for myself online, including chlorine for the swimming pool. I just order it online, and magically the next day it arrives. It is very convenient. So what are the trends that they're talking about? Let's have a look. E-commerce will continue roaring ahead next year as sales of medicinal supplements, fashion and kitchen products surge. Okay, so I'm sure you're all wondering what they're going to be saying the trends are and whether you fit into those trends. And they're thinking e-commerce sales will surpass $5 trillion US, resulting in a surge of money, blah, blah, blah. Sales of health and wellness products will rise next year, and so they did a survey, and 62% of respondents were more concerned with their health now than they were before the pandemic. Is that you? Did you have some sort of health scare during the pandemic, COVID-19 or otherwise, that's made you reassess your health? Let's see what other trends are here. So other trending products, let's go through these, are medicinal supplements, air purifiers, reusable water bottles, shapewear. Shapewear is sort of clothes that you wear under your normal clothes, which reshape your body. So men can wear things that sort of reduce their pot belly, and ladies can wear things on their legs that make their legs more shapely. It sounds very uncomfortable in a human environment. High-waist jeans, won't be buying many of those. Sleeping masks, electric toothbrushes. Let's see, portable blenders and air fryers. Those air fryers were a big trend this year, weren't they? And consumers continue to dine at home. That seems to be more of a trend than going out. I think, though, here in Thailand, that's a little bit different, where we do tend to go out a lot more because, well, one, the weather, and two, it's so cheap and available. This also from the survey down the bottom there, 7 out of 10 consumers will continue to cook at home, according to the survey. And it also says down the bottom there, demand for pet care products and kitty beds will also rise. These two, wherever they are at the moment, they just sleep exactly where they want. And I know if I went out and bought 2 expensive kitty beds that they would never be slept on. They'd probably just be used for sharpening their claws or something. So that from The Nation reporting about an Alibaba report into e-commerce. With thanks to our sponsor, 5 Star Marine, and if it's a day like today, you're going to have an excellent day out on the water with Sean and his team. Thank you to 5 Star Marine for their ongoing support, and if you are in Phuket, please check them out for a tour offshore, and there's a link in the description in this video. Now for our TNT programs coming up on Saturday, I'll be doing my normal Saturday morning live program, and we'll use that program to go back over the top 10 biggest news stories of 2022. So we're doing that on Saturday. We're doing it live. And you can be involved by just jumping online and joining in and sharing your comments and your thoughts about the stories that I've picked out for the top 10 stories of 2022, obviously Thai related, and you may have some contributions of your own. So I look forward to hearing that. And then on Sunday, I've got an interview with a gentleman called Steve Ross. Now, Steve and I have been in contact a bit, and we are going to be doing some more stuff together. Steve's a great guy, and he also doesn't mind a bit of a smoke. So I had a talk to him yesterday up in Phang Nga about some issues relating to Thailand's decriminalisation of marijuana this year to get some of his perspectives. So should you be smoking it out in the open, like in public, walking down the street?
I have done it, not walking down the street. I have smoked in Bangkok outside shops that sell it. They'll have a picnic table and some AstroTurf, and you can sit there and smoke in front of their shop. I've walked past on Sukhumvit, Falang guys walking, smoking a joint, smoking a blunt, walking down the street. I would not do that, but I didn't see these guys being afraid or being arrested.
So we'll have more of that interview. That's coming out on Sunday on TNT, the full interview with Steve Ross. I think you'll find that quite entertaining. To our next story now, this from nationthailand.com. Traffic congestion alerts flash up as New Year exodus begins early. I was driving up to Phang Nga yesterday. I'm sort of situated right in the middle of the island of Phuket, and it took me longer to travel about 10% of the distance than it did for the other 90%. The traffic in Phuket yesterday was hideous. Now, I'm just on the main Tepkasat 3 road, and all the way up, almost to the airport, even beyond, the traffic was very, very heavy. So there are a lot of people in the main tourist areas around Thailand at the moment, and you just do need to be patient if you're out during peak times on the Thai roads, because they were certainly busy yesterday. Heavy traffic congestion signalled the start of migrant workers' New Year exodus. Migrant workers? Or are they talking about Thai workers who are just going back to their hometown? In northern and northeastern provinces on Tuesday. Strange terminology. I would have thought that, yes, there are migrant workers, but they wouldn't be heading back to hometowns in northern and northeastern Thailand. They'd be heading back to Myanmar or Cambodia. Anyway, sad story yesterday at the Phuket Airport. This story from thephuket.express.com. A foreign man seriously injured after falling from the Phuket Airport departure platform. A foreign man sustained severe injuries after he fell from a third floor at the Phuket International Airport. And then in the second paragraph, they say they stated a male foreign passenger jumped from the third floor at the departure platform of the international terminal. You can see there it's a long way down, and he sustained severe injuries. At just after 3 p.m. yesterday, he was taken to a nearby hospital, and the name and nationality of the passenger was withheld. So I don't really have any other news or information about that, but of course it will be interesting to know whether he fell, which is then an airport safety concern, or whether he jumped. To our next story today, and this from Thai Newsroom, 3 nominees arrested for holding 200 million baht assets for a foreigner. So we're talking about shelf companies here, which are Thai companies, which have to have Thai nominees, and then they have a foreigner having 49% of the shares in the company. Now, a lot of people do this for buying property, for doing a whole lot of business in Thailand. And currently there's a bit of a purge on people who have these setups of companies. And if you've got something even slightly dodgy going on, I'd probably be having a chat to a lawyer about making sure you've got your T's crossed and your I's dotted at the moment in regards to these nominee companies. Let's check the story from Thai Newsroom. And it says that Thai nominees were arrested yesterday for holding over 200 million baht in assets for a foreigner who was earlier arrested for applying for a Thai ID card. Noting there in the second paragraph, Mr. Shao was arrested and a search and seizure of 36 items, and it was revealed that he was one of the owners of 3 companies held in the name of nominees, and then a Mr. Saran, Mr. Patipat and Ms. Chanya were also arrested for acting as his nominees. So there's certainly a purge on for some of these Thai nominees companies, and it all follows the search for Chinese grey businesses or businesses that may have been used for criminal activities. And there's the chart that they used when they were speaking about the alleged owner and the nominees. They were talking the other day about not revealing the nationalities of any of the people they're arresting over these matters. I don't think they're doing particularly well on that matter at the moment. Additional charges have been filed against the foreign suspect, including filing a false report to officials and running businesses in the country without permission. So with that, we wrap up today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel on your way out. We do appreciate you dropping into TNT each day. Please put your comments and thoughts in the comments section. I do read them all, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.